Hey guys, it's Meredith with the Always Have Time food blog. How's your day going? I'm coming to you to show you how I make my fenugreek chicken fingers, which is just a fancy way of saying my special chicken fingers. This is a great kid dish and it's super easy. So come on, let's get cooking. So this recipe has been one of my staples since I was a single lady living in a tiny apartment and on a very tight budget for food. So that's why I love it so much. All you need are a few ingredients and you can have a fantastic lunch. Not to mention, this is a slightly unique take on your dredge and on the typical dry and wet ingredients. So you'll notice I have mustard and honey. That's a fun one, right? And then I also have mayonnaise. Now, if you want to substitute something for the mayonnaise, sour cream works really well. And then just one egg as a binder. For my dry, I have panko because I like crispy stuff, but I'm also gluten light, so I have cornmeal. So that'll be my coating for my, my dry ingredients. And then of course, chicken. I like to use chicken thighs, but you can use chicken tenders. I know Trader Joe's usually has them already pre-cut. Just make sure that you clean off the vein that runs down them. Or you can use chicken breasts and just cut them up. So let's get this party started. So I like to go ahead and get my dredges ready, and then I'm gonna prep my chicken. So what I love about this recipe is it's literally 1, 1, 1. I don't really measure a whole lot because I try to keep it easy. Oops, I forgot a spoon. So this is a really great recipe that you can make with your kids. So once you get the chicken prepped, you know, you can have them help you squirt all of this in. And again, I don't do a whole lot of measuring. If you want measurements, my measurements are 1 egg, a healthy sounding squirt of mustard, about a 1/4 cup of honey, which, I don't know about you, my honey always likes to crystallize right when I want to use it. A little tip, you can always throw it in the microwave for just a few seconds to get it moving again. All right, we're gonna leave this up. We're gonna leave that aside and move on to our mayonnaise. So, a healthy scoop of mayo. And I'm just gonna leave that off to the side there too. And now my honey is down to the right level. And again, this just does not want to cooperate. Let's see. Okay. Well, let's try it the old-fashioned way. There we go. So about a 1/4 cup. So again, a healthy squirt. And then, of course, you want to salt and pepper. And you don't need a whole lot of salt because there's already salt in the mayonnaise, in the mustard. And apparently, I forgot all my utensils. Grab yourself a fork. Now, if this seems a little thick, it is. Probably because the honey is a little crystallized, but you can always add a little olive oil just to thin out the mixture a little bit. But give it a good mix. Let it warm up. There we go. Okay, we're getting there. Since my honey is crystallized, I'm just breaking up some of those crystals in there so they coat evenly. So the honey is a great binder and allows you to reduce some of the other ingredients that you normally put in a dredge. Also adds a nice little sweetness. I love it. Now, with the wet dredge, sometimes in the spring and summer, when my herb garden is going nice and strong, I will actually chop up some basil and throw it in there. Again, added flavor. That's what I love about this, because you can really make it your own. You don't have to follow what I do. Just put it all together and enjoy. All right, so now we have our wet. Let's move on to our dry. So with the dry, I'm actually going to not use any breadcrumbs. I'm going to use panko and cornmeal. So probably say about a half cup of cornmeal. You might need a little bit more, so leave your measuring cup in there. And then panko. I like panko because it's really light and fluffy, and it makes a great crust. I'd probably say that's about a half to 3/4 cup of panko. Again, I'm not huge on measuring. Just kind of pour it in there. The great thing, you know, if you over measure, then you can make some dumplings or, you know, hush puppies with the remaining bits. So, all right, again, salt, season both sides. So salt and pepper. And here's where you get to be creative. And you can use whatever herbs and spices that you want. I would suggest on the dry side, making sure you use dry herbs though. So I'm of course using thyme. Why wouldn't I? My dog just snorted that joke. And I'm gonna add some dill because I want some brightness. I like to add a little turmeric because the turmeric's actually a great root. It's great for if you have any aches and pains. It's just a healthy little herb. And some smoked paprika. And then the reason it's called fenugreek chicken is because I add an herb called fenugreek, which has a kind of sweet flavor to it. It's a nice way to add a little salty sweetness to your dish without adding extra salt or sweetness. Win-win, right? And I need another fork, actually. My little whisk in here. Go ahead and just mix this up. You can use your fingers if you want. This is great because, again, you know, you can really make it your own. You can ask your kids what they want in theirs, and then the other best part of this dish is when you make the sauce to dip it with. Oh, that's another one of my favorite parts of this. I just love a good dipping sauce. I don't know about you. I guess I'm saucy like that. All right. And if you need measurements for the herbs, it's probably about a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of each one. Maybe a little bit more of the thyme. All right, that looks really good. Okay, so let's set these aside. And what I didn't show you, I've already got a pan pre-lined with some nonstick foil, and I also put, you notice, a grate in there. That'll be good because then the chicken will not, you won't have to flip it. So you can just let it go. Speaking of flipping it, we need to preheat the oven to 450 degrees. Alexa, tell Geneva to preheat the oven to 450 degrees.
To use the GE Appliances Geneva skill, open the Alexa app and...
Okay, we've got the oven preheating now. It's preheating to 450 degrees. So now we need to prep our chicken. And I've got a bowl here to put my prepped chicken in. I've got my chicken. And of course, you always want to practice safe chicken handling. Ooh, this is a big bag. All right, so this one had 4 nice large thighs in it. All right. let's get this cut up. And usually I just kind of cut them into chunks. Maybe I try to make them all the same in thickness. I also trim off some of the fat because you don't really need it because there's going to be enough fat in the dredge. So just place that off to the side. I used to make these for weeknight dinners, and after I used to work in retail, and so when I would get home, I just want to do something quick, so I'd get the Trader Joe's chicken tenders and I'd devein them and I'd have this done lickety split. The longest part of it was actually just baking it in the oven. So that's what, and you know, so you can always prep your chicken in advance. I would dredge the same day just to make sure it doesn't get soggy, but you can definitely do all of the cutting in advance. You could probably mix your dry and your wet in advance. You can also do your dry and the wet in a plastic bag, so you don't even have to clean up afterwards. You just toss it out. Pretty sweet, right? All right, so I'm gonna keep cleaning this chicken and then we'll get on to the dredge, okay? All right, as you can see, I've got my dredging station set up. So I've got my chicken, my wet, and my dry, and then I've got my wire rack. So let's get dredging. Now, biggest tip here is wet hand, dry hand, wet hand, dry hand. If you mix them, they become clumpy hands. You can always, if you have kids, you can always have your kid do the dry or do the wet, you know, whichever one you prefer. So let's get dredging. All right, so this is gonna be my wet hand. So we're gonna take a few of these. Again, I made them into kind of little chunks, but you can make them whatever size you want as long as they're consistent so they cook consistently. And I'm just gonna drop a nice little handful into my wet dredge. And I use my fork to kind of mix it up, get it all nice and covered. Get all that yummy goodness on there. Oh yeah. All right. And then I also like to use my fork to kind of move it over because then I can drip off some of the excess. And it keeps my hands a little cleaner. Notice how I'm holding this up here? It's because my instinct to just drop my hand in there and pick it on up is very strong. All right. That goes, guys, get a little coated more. And then you're just gonna dredge these in the dry. Get them all nice and covered. I like to kind of pat them in there, make sure it gets in all the little nooks and crannies, and then straight onto your wire rack. Now you don't have to line it with tin foil. I just do that because I like easy cleanup. I'm kind of the lazy cook. All right, so I'm gonna keep going on this and then pop this in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes, just depending on how big of a piece you cut. And they should come out golden brown and delicious. All right, now that we have our chicken in the oven, let's talk sauce, because everybody needs a good dipping sauce, right? So one of my favorites is to actually combine the whole kitchen sink. I just love it. So basically everything that I would put on a hot dog, I'm gonna put in my sauce. So I'll put a little mayo, and again, you can always substitute the mayo. I've used Greek yogurt, I've used sour cream, running out of mustard. I like to put a little mustard. a nice, healthy, loud squeeze. Yet again, clearly, I need to refill my mustard. All right, a little ketchup. I used to do this all the time in college. My way of making my own, you know, mac sauce sometimes. I don't know. And then of course you need some thyme. I like to echo some of the flavors that I'm already using in the dredge. So putting a little finesse herbs, just a nice little French herb mixture, little dill. And the pièce de résistance, a little sweet relish. Oh yeah. All right. Give that a little mix. Oh yeah. Oh, that's just the right color. Maybe a little more ketchup. I'm gonna add some salt and pepper, and my dipping sauce is done. Oh yeah, look at that. Crispy, golden brown. Oh, they look so good. I can't wait for them to cool off so I can start enjoying. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you guys are having a great day. And please comment below with any of your own takes on this recipe. I'd love to hear them. Bon appetit!